We got two more examples. We have example number 4 and example number 5. Example number 4, we are going to complete the square. In example number 5, we're going to revisit what you learned in Algebra 1, which was the quadratic formula. So let's already start with example number 4. Complete the square. Our equation is b squared minus 14b plus 56 is equal to negative 5. Okay, you should already be familiar with what you should do next, but if not, well, you see that negative 5, we just got to bring it over because we always need to have zeros on one side. So let's add 5 on both sides. Add 5 on both sides. So you have b squared minus 14b plus 61 is equal to 0. Okay, let's see if it's safe to complete the square. Well, there's nothing over here. There's no value over here except for 1. So yes, we can complete the square right now. Let's take that negative 14 divided by 2, that's going to be negative 7. Let's save that for the factoring portion. Then that negative 7, we're going to square it. That's going to be 49. Okay, that's what we're going to add and also subtract. B squared minus 14b plus 49. Don't forget to balance the equation by subtracting 49. And then we also have plus 61 is equal to 0. Alright, let's group these first three over here. When we factor it, this is going to be b minus 7 squared. Remember, this number over here is the same number as the number after you divide it by 2, so you don't have to think about it. Then this is going to be negative 49 plus 16, that's plus 61, sorry, that's going to be plus 12 is equal to 0. Well, just keep going. We're going to subtract 12 on both sides now. Subtract 12. Then we have b minus 7 squared is equal to negative 12. The same procedure still applies. We're going to get rid of the square. We are going to square root both sides. Square root. Square root. So now we have b minus 7 is equal to, remember, you got to put plus or minus square root of negative 12. We've seen negatives under the radicals, so we need to simplify that even more. So let's go on to the next page and let's simplify this negative square root of negative 12. I'm really stumbling with all these negatives, negative radical, square root, negative radical. Okay, this is why we have the visual over here. So let's do that right now. Well, we have square root of negative 12. We're going to break that into negative 1 times radical 12. You've noticed that I've just completely skipped that first step and then just combined them into the second step. So we break it up into two radicals. One is going to be negative 1 and then the other one is just going to be 12. Every time we see a square root of negative 1, that's going to be I times, well, let's break up that 12 into 4 times 3. 4 times 3. What's square root of 4? That's 2. 3, there's no pair over here, so this is going to be I times 2 radical 3. We have a whole number, we have I, and we have a radical, so we need to rewrite this as 2I radical 3. So that radical negative 12, we are going to replace that with the 2I radical 3. So let's go back to the equation that we have so far. B minus 7 is equal to plus or minus square root of negative 12. We are going to replace that with that, so we have b minus 7 is equal to plus or minus 2I radical 3. Hey, good so far? Alright, let's finish up this problem. We're going to add 7 on both sides. Add 7 on both sides. B is equal to 7 plus or minus 2I radical 3. Then we are going to split them up into 2 because we have 1 plus and 1 minus. So we are going to have conjugate answers because we have conjugate pairs. 7 plus 2I radical 3. Okay, that's one answer. And then your second answer is 7 minus 2I radical 3. So this is your ANS for example number 4. So you're pretty much still doing the same steps as completing the square. Take that middle number, divide it by 2, square it, square root both sides. Make sure you put a plus or minus. The only thing that is changing is that sometimes you'll have a negative over here under the radical. So now you got to be careful. When I give you the homework, I'm going to mix the problems up. Sometimes you'll have positives over here and you just do it as is. Sometimes you'll have negatives, and where you have to include the I value as well. So this is your example. This is your answer for example number 4. This is our last example for Monday's one, April 23rd. Example number 5. Solve using the quadratic formula. It has probably been ages for you since you used that formula. It's just another method to solve for x. Let me give you the equation first. 3x squared plus 4x plus 7 is equal to 0. Okay, and you're going to solve for x using the quadratic formula. This is the steps that you're going to do. You're going to use this. This is the formula again. You're going to use x is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I know you guys sang that crazy but wonderful song on Algebra 1, and you can't sing that song again, but this is the formula, just to help you remember it, but this is the formula for the quadratic formula. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, where are the a's, b's, and c values over here? It's going to be the coefficients or the numbers. So remember, always, all the time, by the x squared, the number by the x squared, that's going to be your a value. So this is your a value. This is going to be your b value if you just have that singleton x. And then after that, just the number, that's going to be your c value. So those are the values that you're going to plug into this equation. So let's do that right now. X is equal to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, what was your b value? Your b value is 4. Let me just put this on the side. A is equal to 3, b is equal to 4, and c is equal to 7, just as a reference. So let's do that. Is equal to negative 4 plus or minus square root of b squared. Well, that's going to be 4 squared minus 4. What is your a value? That's 3, so let's plug that in over here. What is your c value? It's 7, so let's plug that in over here. All over 2, and then what was your a value? 3. Let's plug that in there. From here, you just need to simplify. Negative 4 plus or minus 4 squared, that's going to be 16, minus 4 times 3 times 7. You can use your calculator. This is going to be, this is going to be 84 all over 6. Okay, from here we just have to just keep going and simplifying this. This is going to be negative 4 plus or minus 16 minus 84 is going to be negative 68 all over 6. Aha, we have a negative again under the radical. So let's do that on the side. Okay, let's simplify that on the side over here. Square root of negative 68, that's the same thing as saying negative square root of negative 1 times square root of 68. That square root of negative 1, we're going to transform that into an I times, well, if we try to break down 68, it's going to be 4 times 17. What's square root of 4? Square root of 4 is 2, or you can break this one down into 2 times 2. So we have a pair of 2's, so this is going to be times 2 radical 17. Okay, we are going to rewrite it as whole number, imaginary number, and then radical 17. Okay, so let's replace that with that. Equals negative 4 plus or minus, remember the square root of negative 68 was here, we're going to replace that with 2i radical 17 all over 6. Alright, let's see if we can take out a number over here in order to take this one out. Yes, we can. We can take out a 2 from here and here. So let's do that. 2 parentheses negative 2 plus or minus I radical 17 all over 6. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. 2 divided by 2 is just 1. We don't have to write that 1 anymore. We can cancel out 2's over here. This becomes a 1, and this becomes a 3. And so now we have negative 2. Let me just move this a little bit more up. Negative 2 plus or minus I radical 17 all over 3. And then now we can split this up. X is equal to negative 2 plus I radical 17 over 3. That's the one with the plus. And let's box this. And then your second answer is going to be negative 2 minus I radical 17 all over 3. So this is your second answer for this. Okay. And this is your answer for example number 5.